Scotty, beam me up.
Smash.
Get over here! It is pointless to resist. My pet monster.
He's bigger than big.
When he fights battles, he always wins.
And he's your friend, too.
He breaks his chains.
Put him on you and break away, too.
With my pet monster, you're busting loose.
He's big.
And scary.
And helps people, too.
And he's your friend, too.
My pet monster plays all day.
Tough.
Awesome.
Looking great.
And all your friends will want him for their friend, too.
My pet monster has breakaway chains from Amtoy and American Greetings Company.
Let's get ready for the Halloween party. Wow, it's gonna be spooky and fun. Let's shake up our Viewmaster light sticks and shine in the dark. Let's light up the jack-o'-lantern. And let's light up our monster faces.
A Viewmaster Light Up Light Stick comes with every jack-o'-lantern or monster head, each sold separately. Or you can buy light sticks alone. Light Up Monster Heads, Light Up Inflatable Jack-o'-lantern, and the light stick itself, each sold separately.
All right. Welcome to the Punk Rock Geek Den. We've got Mr. Tommy SpaSe here with us from LA, from Tommy SpaSe and the Alchemist. Some good stuff you got going on there, man. How's it going?
Thank you. Good.
Oh, I think you're freezing up a little bit, but yeah, we're doing pretty good, man. Why don't you tell us a little bit about when you started Tommy SpaSe and the Alchemist and how it came about?
Well, I was been a musician for a really long time, and I was in, I came moved to LA, and guitar player, and joined a few bands, and the whole thing for a while there, and then eventually just started doing my own thing. So I was always writing songs, always recording my own stuff, and it just went through different incarnational path, but it was a while back when it was in promenade where street musicians play, and you're out there, and people walking about in all the shops and everything, and I was out there doing acoustic, singer-songwriter stuff, and people just walked by. They didn't really care too much about it, and I noticed that these guys that were juggling these little goofy shell game stuff, they'd have these massive, and I was like, you know what, I gotta just it's got to be bigger entertainment value to it. You know what I mean? Some kind of a theatrical thing, and then so I was just sitting there, and I just kind of got this revelation kind of hit me. The whole thing just kind of landed right there in that moment, the personality, the alter ego thing, and then everything kind of followed into that vein, with the type of music that it was, this really gypsy vaudevillian burlesque music with a full-on theatrical presentation and esoteric supernatural kind of lyrics, so it all kind of came together.
Yeah, man, I really dig it.
Kind of going from there.
It's good stuff for sure. Definitely, I've always been a fan of the theatrical rock and roll kind of sound. And I'm hearing a little bit of the Beatles. There's
sure.
Panic at the Disco, a little bit. That was one of the first bands that came to mind anyway.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard comments on Facebook. I wasn't too familiar with them. Then I saw a couple of videos on, I could see where total same with the that steampunk kind of vibe or whatever. Beatles was definitely a huge influence on my music though from the beginning, and probably my biggest influence starting out. So yeah, you're hearing it. You got it. Pick it up.
Well, I grew up on the Beatles. They've always
Yeah.
been up there, close to number one, if not at number one. Because, like, just the guitar work, lyrics, all of it, just always hit me from a very young age, and I feel like I was blessed to be around that music.
Yeah.
You can love it or hate it all you want, but it doesn't change how influential they were on. It transcends genre.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I saw, you know, and he, that particular music coming through at that moment, it just like was a phenomenon.
Uh-oh.
Lost him for a second.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I lost him here too.
Yeah, he completely froze up on my end and disappeared. All right. Had some technical difficulties, but
We're back.
yep. As we were saying, hearing a lot of the Beatles in your music, and you know, I'm sure all of us were inspired by them in some way. But what were you saying about it? You froze up pretty bad there.
Okay, well, I was just saying, like, you know, whether people dig them or not, you know, I think that the phenomena of the Beatles, I mean, I don't know that could ever happen again quite the way it did, just because where the world was, where the consciousness of people were, you know, and like this music that came out, and like the phenomena that it was, and you know, the first time, like, you know, people were totally losing it when they would show up and stuff. I mean, you know, I mean, people still lose it for other artists and all that, but like, I don't know, there's something there that just changed consciousness on the planet, you know.
Yeah, the Beatles, like, for sure, like Matt said, it transcended their influence, it transcended genre, and there's only two bands that I can think of that did that, and that was the Beatles and the Jackson 5, that had like the same kind of energy. Fans would scream and run towards them and try to grab them and rip their clothes off.
Yeah,
crazy.
right.
You don't see that these days.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first time you saw that then, too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
You know.
It's crazy to think that it was almost, what, 60 years ago?
I know, it's crazy, you know.
Yeah.
With everybody just a fingertip away now, I think that's the big difference. I can hop on internet and see whoever, whenever I want. I may not get to talk to them, and I may not get to stand outside a grate and scream at them and try to tear their clothes off, but I'm so much more familiar now with the people I like and that I'm interested in than you would have been in the 60s with the Beatles or with the Jackson 5.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's like social media versus like magazines you would have to wait for, you know, for interviews and things like that. You can watch their entire life right before your own eyes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I didn't grow. I mean, I didn't grow up having that push button thing, and you know, you got the extensive catalog of like everything, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, statistically, it's like people are archiving it and they're putting it up and everything like that. So I mean, like, yeah, it's amazing, man. It's amazing what the access that everybody has now. You know, library.
Well, you don't even have to pay for it. If you don't mind a couple commercials, you can listen to it. If you can think of a song, you can find it and listen to it for free.
Yeah, it's crazy. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I love having the world of music at my fingertips. I'm
Yeah,
always
really.
finding new stuff. Case in point.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, independent too. I mean, you know, independent music, you know, because it wasn't quite as accessible without the internet, you know, because usually there's like, you know, a machine in place, you know, and you only heard the mainstream artists that would be getting pushed by record companies and stuff like that. So, you know, unless you went underground a little bit, but you still, you know, that was a harder process to get access for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You had to trip over it, right? Like you had to just stumble over a band you liked because you happened to be in a bar one night and you're like, holy shit, these guys are amazing. Where now, every day I wake up with my messengers full of 3 songs, 4 songs, 5 songs. Have you heard this guy? Nope, but now I am.
Cool.
Oh yeah, I love but I don't know. There's something about going to a record store, seeing a cover, and being like, "That looks cool. I'm gonna buy that," and then you end up liking it. And I've done that before I had the internet. Like I was very, very, very young. I'm a lot younger than pretty much everybody in this chat right now. And so, like, I was buying CDs when I was like 10, 11 years old. And I was like, ooh, that's a cool looking cover. All right. And then I still listen to those bands because they just hit me in a way that no other music has.
Yeah.
No way that the shit you hear on the radio does. You know, that
Yeah.
you hear the same song over and
Yeah,
over.
I'm with you there 100%, man. I mean, when I was really young and going to the record stores, it was vinyl, man. You'd have this huge, vinyl album, and you'd get that, and you'd dig the cover, but then you'd have all the other stuff. You just sit there, and you'd like sit there and listen to the album, like, when you first got it, like 4 or 5 times, just going over the same stuff, but it was still like it was a different experience. You know what I mean? You didn't have much other choices either. So.
Yeah. And luckily, vinyl's kind of coming back in a pretty big way.
It is.
Big demand for it these days.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking to get into it a little bit myself. Putting it out on vinyl.
You got a corner right here.
Yeah.
I've been listening to it all weekend. Crazy. You've been my morning and evening drives to and from work.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I like getting this stuff stuck in my head. When I first heard, what was the song? Carousel Cabaret, the title track from the new album. And I was just like, there's a little bit of everything in this.
Yeah.
That's multi-layered, man. That's multi.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I was like, I gotta talk to this guy.
That's funny, man, because that's the song. Like, I was gonna do a completely different album. I had the whole thing, all the songs ready to go, the title, everything. And when that song came through, man, it kind of like, wait a minute. I was just, checking it out one night, working with it, and I was like, there's more than just a song here. This is like a whole album, man. This is like and then all these other songs kind of that I already had kind of like fell into place. So it just like turned a corner like one night.
Yeah.
Pretty good corner to turn, and I went forward. So. Yeah,
absolutely. You're doing a bang up job of it too, man.
Yeah. What I was gonna say,
thanks, man.
Back to me too, is like, the theatrics of bands. They don't like. Sure, I know a lot of great bands, but like if they're theatrical, it's all for me. And you're like, I was gonna say you're more like a steampunk Alice Cooper to me, like early generation. Like.
You're right on, man. I mean, that day, I think I was talking about it, the 3rd Street Promenade. When I sat down, just all of a sudden Alice Cooper came into my mind, and I'm like, he's the inventor of the alter ego. And I saw it, I'm like, how the alter ego allows you to go beyond, what you would do normally, and it just opens the door for all these ways of like, taking it to the next level, and and I don't have to like try to. I mean, I can be goofy, I can be whatever, man, and I can still pull it off because it's like the way it all works together. It just totally opened the door, man. And I'm not that much of an extrovert. I'm not like this, But when I incorporate that energy, man, it's a whole other story, So.
Yeah.
It's like a disguise. You get to be comfortable with somebody you've created and just be whoever you want to be. And it's everybody can see you, but it's like a veil you get to hide behind and not feel insecure about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man, how it works actually, because I mean, like me talking to you now is not the way the alter ego Tommy SpaSe talks and does stuff, you know. So this is like more the normal person here, you know, like the mild-mannered, you know, whatever during the day. It's like a superhero story, exactly. Yeah. It really is.
We're talking to Clark Kent right now.
That's segue.
If you want Superman, you got to wait till the show.
Exactly. Or whatever, when he's on, he's on.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been any more organic for you to bring it up. I love a good origin story. So could you tell me how you arrived at Tommy SpaSe and the Alchemists?
All right, man. Well, you know, I could give you it's really funny that you say that because, you know, I'm working on a show, an episodic series with this, you know, like a whole full-on episodic series with the whole universe of Tommy SpaSe and all that. So there is an origin story on that level, but you want the real one, like how I personally came into it, or because I kind of know it's like. Well, I told you the one about, you know, my personal experience was like that day that I was at the Third Street Promenade. So then that's, I mean, and then it kind of all just kind of took it on its own life. So, but the origin story for Tommy SpaSe, the being or whatever you want to call it, superhero, or is that he's a time traveler. You know what I mean? And back in, you know, turn of the century London, Victorian days, he owned a clock shop, and he wasn't doing very good. And he was about to get foreclosed on, and this guy brings his junk. You know those fortune teller machines? You know those old mechanized fortune teller machines? You know, you can drop a coin in, and it's like gives you your fortune. Well, it was something like that. And I'm serious. I actually have I did a little mock, you know, motion comic of this actual story. Awesome. And he had no, you know, he was like freaking out on his rent. He didn't know what he was going to do. Stuff to get thrown out. And he goes down in the middle of the night to like, what is this freaking thing that this guy brought me? You know, like this old man brought him this thing. And he starts tweaking with it, and he's like digging into the innards of this machine. And all of a sudden, like something happens, this spark thing happens, this interdimensional portal opens up, and he's thrown into like, you know, the multiverse. You know what I mean? And so he didn't know what the hell happened, and he like ends up on the doorstep of the Father of Time, literally, and he can't go back, and so now he's given this job, and he got, you know, I have this top hat with a clock in it, and he's allowed to like, you know, go and just like go and, you know, kind of right wrongs and like all kinds of times and spaces. He can go anywhere, kind of like a Doctor Who, you know what I mean? He can go anywhere, and he can, you know, but he's got his band, he's got his pirate ship, which is like a pirate ship that, you know, can travel in the space time, you know, it doesn't need, you know, and it's a really cool story, man. It's coming along. I'm actually I'm working on a pilot episode, and the minute I get it done, man, I'll pass it you guys' way. You know, you can check it out.
Watch the shit out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta get it pitched to like a company and do it. But I got episodes, and like, you know, it's kind of cool. But it'll be like a musical thing, you know, like a song would actually play a part. You remember like Scooby Doo? You know how like they. You go through the like little bit of the whole story, and then at the very end there'd be a song that like everything would kind of come together. And at the end, it's gonna be like that, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah, man. So, but very, very, you know, cosmic and metaphysical and supernatural and all of that, you know. Kind of like a Gilligan's Island too, like because they're stuck on the ship. He's stuck on the ship. There's a part in time where he crash lands on a planet Earth, modern day, but he goes to the bottom of the ocean. Can't leave, but the only way he can leave is if he starts playing with the band, and they reach a certain frequency, and then they become multidimensional again. Because when they get into the planet's gravitational field, they cannot be. They're not multidimensional anymore. They're stuck in the third dimension, you know. So the only way they could go anywhere then, at that point, is like to increase their frequency enough to where they can become multidimensional. So there's a lot to it. I'm probably not doing it justice, but
you're doing it plenty of justice. I was going to say, you just wear a top hat with a clock in it. You can say that's your personal origin story.
Yeah, man.
I dig it, man. I'm a big fantasy fan, and that scratches all the itches. And it's I mean, you're American, so it has none of the English sensibilities that Doctor Who has. I can't stand that part of it. So I'd totally dig an American time traveler.
Awesome, man. That's great to hear, man. That's great to hear. That helps me a lot, just because. I mean, I was actually starting that particular project when then I was like, I got to record an album this time, and so that was a whole year-long diversion from, finishing up this thing because I was in the middle of editing it, and I mean, it's bare bones, man. No money spent. Like, a lot of the stuff is mostly recorded on Skype because I was doing something with my friend who's playing a character. But so I'm gonna return to that, and I'm gonna get that out. It's pretty rough around the edges, but I'm hoping to get it to some people, and just get on it, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
I'm just gonna start throwing money at you in a minute.
Yeah, you got it, man. I'll take it.
Well, not lots.
I definitely want to share that with you guys since you're totally into that, and because it's gonna be cool, man. I'm actually pretty excited about it. I just kind of put it on the back burner for like a couple of years now, so it's my next thing.
Given the last 18 months to 2 years, kind of a lot of that stuff did go on the back burner, and that's the shame of it. You lost a lot of entertainment, but you gained a lot of entertainment as well. Like, you put out a new album.
Well, that happened halfway through, man. I had to find a different studio because I was in the middle of recording it, and the guy who was recording it was at his house, and he got a little freaked out on the whole thing. So I had to find a studio that was willing to let me and my guys come in and record, given all the hysteria, so to speak. But
now, The Alchemists, is that just your backing band, or is Tommy SpaSe and The Alchemists the band as a whole, like Alice Cooper was?
I mean, I consider that a band as a whole. I mean, it's been a bit of a revolving door. I mean, I've had about 4 different versions of The Alchemists over the years, but this particular, the guys on this album, I mean, I've had a few with me the entire time. Lady Di has always been with me, but this band is the best, so that I've ever had, and we really get along great. But I consider it more as a band, especially now. It's just that like I'm the one that's like this whole vision and the whole thing just came through me. So, and I'm kind of the captain of the ship. So, and I kind of got to follow with the guidance that I get, the visualizations of the visions that I get. I mean, it comes from another place, man. I'm not gonna lie, to be honest. Which would lead us into like supernatural and all that, but it really does. Yeah, musically.
Yeah, you're kind of like the method actor of musician in that sense.
Big bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that I'm much of an actor, but it's just something else does come in, and I can and like what we were talking about, the episodic series. Yeah, I can play a character. I don't know how well of an actor I would do with anything else, but with this particular character or alter ego, I can do it. It comes and I do it, and I can act like verbally and not just singing and performing, but in this particular thing. So it's a trip.
Yeah, I think as long as you throw that voice over it, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you say, because just the short little video that I saw on Facebook of you saying, "Hey, come here and check out my album," like your delivery, right. I was just like, "Oh my God, this guy."
So you can obviously tell that person is different than me right now.
Completely.
I wouldn't. It's kind of silly for me to try to do that here.
When you first popped up, I was like, "Is that the same guy?"
I know. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. I love the theatricality of it, and then you get the flip side, the tail side of the coin. We're just having a chill conversation.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really sure what to expect whenever I invited you on the show. I was like, "Is he going to be in character?"
Well, that's the thing, and I've actually been wrestling with that one myself. It's like, it's actually one of the few times, like this and these kind of things are like the few times that I actually show up not as that. So, and I'm a little, I'm still trying to figure it out as far as like what's the best way to go. Because I mean, I feel kind of silly here in a top hat and like all made up and sitting there trying to, hey, whatever, trying to be weird. Or not, being that with you guys.
Yeah, you have to hit that vibe for it to work. Yeah.
Well, I'd have nothing but history questions for you at this point. Like, time traveler? Let's talk Rome. Do this.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to do that Forrest Gump thing too, where like you can go and like, you can go into like, so there's these famous events in history and kind of like be in the background or, or whatever.
Yeah.
You can put a whole story around like these crazy things going on behind the scenes or something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to bail on the president because he had to go to the bathroom. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just happened to leave the forum as Caesar's getting stabbed because he had to go to the bathroom. That would be hilarious.
But there's a lot you can do with that kind of stuff,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I were half that creative. All about traveling in time.
I mean, do you think it's actually possible? Do you think that, I mean, there's talk of people that are it's getting close to that. There is some, stuff about time travel. I mean, there is out there. I'm not sure if it's been achieved yet, but I don't know.
From what I understand, whenever, like, if it is possible, whenever they're able to, like, do it, like, say a launch, like a travel pad or whatever, you're gonna have a destination wherever you're going.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to wait like 100 years to even use it for it to be worth your time.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
Yeah.
you can't travel back to 1985 because there's no destination pad.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
Unless they figure out a way to, like a DeLorean. We all want the DeLorean.
Without getting crazy, you're talking like quantum theory and space travel. They hypothesize that if a human could somehow exceed the speed of light, it would be like traveling backwards because you would be beating the light that's coming here.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I've read is that the minute you travel in time, you create a whole other timeline. So there's the one that you left and the one that you're on, and then you can't go back anymore. And I'm afraid that my mind just isn't big enough to take it. Like, it wouldn't be as simple as hitting 88 in a DeLorean. I don't see it.
yeah, I mean, I've actually seen some guys. I saw this one guy channeling, like, I don't know, it was an AI kind of a entity or something like that. And he was like, he just started talking about all of these multiple timelines, and like it just got so far off into like something I could not even comprehend it, quite honestly. But like, way out there in like 2055 or something like that, and like how all these things start. Yeah, it just like I don't know, man. It was just too much. It lost me. Like, it was so intense, it like made your brain hurt.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I try not to think about it too much.
Nah, I mean, we got enough to navigate. Anyway.
Yeah. Get from A to B, I'm good.
Yeah.
The timeline I'm in life is just crazy enough. I don't need to go find somewhere else to be crazy. Or somewhere, when else, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Just show up in a dinosaur. Okay, this was fun.
Yeah.
And I'd pick a terrible time too. I'd put the number in wrong. I'd end up in the wrong place. And what's this white guy doing here? I guess we better kill him. Again.
Well, wouldn't we actually already also see a few? Like, I mean, we'd see them in our reality if it had already happened, and they could travel forwards and backwards and all that stuff, so we could see or experience. Which there are plenty of people claiming that actually on the internet. There are people that claim, like, I'm a time traveler. Here's a picture from whatever 20, the future, whatever. And so, but yeah, I'm not quite convinced of that one yet, even though there are some claims.
I hope it's possible.
I think without getting into the math or science of it, it's a lot of fun to think about because you're like, what could I mess up? Like, what would I go back and kill Hitler, or would I go and stop Caesar, or would I go and whatever? Would I hold up George Washington when he was supposed to be crossing the Delaware in the fog?
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a universal law that wouldn't allow that kind of stuff, but who knows?
Yeah. Or just go pretend to be him.
Yeah.
It's me, GW. I'm only 5'8". I know he was 6'4". Whatever.
Oh my, look, I'd be like Homer Simpson.
They invent the Simpsons and you'd be wealthy beyond your wildest dreams.
That's true.
I know.
Hey, Mr. Groening, I have this great idea. I need you to win.
What you do what that guy from Hot Tub Time Machine did and just go steal all the good ideas, then go back and start doing them all.
Yep. Invented Google.
Motley Lou.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Why is Canada called Matland? Don't worry about it.
Oh,
Yeah, it is great to think about until you start getting into like the science and the math of it. Then
yeah, then that's when my brain starts to hurt.
yeah,
Well, and then you start thinking like, is this moral or ethical? And
yeah,
you're like, I'm not really that greasy, or am I? I could go in time and no one would ever know.
Yeah, I'm too young for an aneurysm, so I try not to even think about that. Nope, I don't need it. I'm not that smart. I'll let somebody else handle it. Nope. Maybe one day there'll be like a time travel where you just go from one time to this time and come back unscathed. As long as we don't fuck anything up.
Or like Peabody and Sherman.
But people are
We
dumb.
just go and watch.
People
Yeah.
are gonna fuck shit up. Like they're gonna go back, they're gonna step on a mosquito. Next thing you know, Donald Trump's running for his 8th term. You know what I mean?
It's quite the leap.
You never know, Matt. Stranger
I spit on the
things have happened.
sidewalk and now there's a dictator for life. What?
Pretty much. Pretty much. But, oh.
And I'm a historian. I don't want to go back and fuck with that because then I'd have to relearn it all over again.
yeah.
F that.
Oh, you'd have to be careful how far back you go.
What do you mean in
Julius
1492 Matt
Smith?
sailed the ocean blue?
Ooh. He's not even Italian.
Yeah, I could see it going bad. I'd cause some kind of mischief.
Yeah. We don't call you Shirley Smart for nothing.
The most low-key mischief ever, too. I went back to my own house and kept all the toys I threw away as a child.
Oh, man.
Okay. What are some of your other inspirations? Like we covered the Beatles. For me, like one of the bands that introduced me to rock and roll would have been Kiss. But again, there's the theatricality again. We got the pyro and all that.
Yeah.
What would it have been for you?
Yeah, man. There's a time. Yeah, that's definitely a theatrical example, and like I thought they were cool. I mean, I wasn't the biggest Kiss fan on the planet, but I mean, I dug them, and I was actually in a cover band. We played a few Kiss songs, and but that whole, I mean, that's kind of where I came up. I mean, I actually guitar was my main instrument, so I was like into all the Guitar Heroes and all that stuff, and like really got into playing. Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, onto Van Halen, and onto like some of the shredders like Steve Vai or even Yngwie Malmsteen. I had a whole phase with him. But then I really got into, anything that's real, man. To be honest, dude, like like it's real, and it's coming from a real place, other than like some homogenized like chasing whatever the latest thing is. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have to say like where kind of music's gone. I mean, it's just been totally overtaken, pretty much, in my opinion. I mean, there's still good bands and stuff, but yeah. So, but yeah, I came, had a pretty good old school kind of like appreciation for music and how to make music and doing that. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
I don't really try to follow like whatever's happening. Decided to do what's real for me. So
I'm like 30 years behind on music,
Right. I mean, I get it, man. I mean, it's like it's been fucked up, dude. It really has been, man. It's screwed.
Yeah, they really grabbed music, the entire industry by the balls. They really got it.
Yeah.
You can hear your influences, but you don't. You don't sound like you're in a box at all.
Yeah.
I struggle with steampunk or with
me too, man.
Rock, like calling it something. Your music specifically, I don't know what I wouldn't put it in any of those holes because it's just not gonna fit. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, at first, like, well, I before I even knew what steampunk was, like before I ever heard that term or what that was, I was already like, for some reason, I was like just getting into that whole like vibe of like, the aesthetic, artistically, like visually, with the old timey, dress and like the old like, rusted, like copper, mechanical stuff, and all that stuff. And I was just into it, and I was like really strong. And I never heard of like steampunk or what that was. And when I discovered it, I'm like, holy shit, man, there's a whole stream of consciousness that I just kind of tapped into that I didn't know what it was. And so when I really started to get, I wanted like a certain amount of that, but then I started looking at steampunk bands and all that, and I'm like, it's not quite where I'm at. It's not, because they have some strict rules, as far as what music, I mean, like steam, like I don't know, So I like to rock, the rock and the melodies and the production, like, I mean, that's another thing is like I just feel, when music for me was like listening to the soundscape that was being produced, in the albums and all the elements, the way to record music and like Pink Floyd and stuff like this where you really get into some deep stuff, and so I can't really limit myself there. And so I don't know if we even would qualify as a steampunk band. No. And rock is pretty straightforward. So I don't know, I call it carnival rock opera. Used to call it whimsical, mystical, theatrical, cosmic, vaudevillian rock. So just trying to find my own labels for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you definitely got that vaudeville cabaret meets the 60s rock and roll.
Like, absolutely.
Meet the circus, like you said.
Carnival, absolutely.
Yeah.
Somehow it all ties in, and somehow it all meets up, and somehow it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know why or what that is, but and I'm not, I'm not exactly sure, but it just got to do it, man, because that's what's happening. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. I wanted to tell you, one of the things when I saw your video on Facebook, one of the things that first came to my mind, I don't know if you've seen the movie Across the Universe.
I have not seen that yet, but I've heard of the one scene, that
with Eddie Izzard.
What's that?
The scene with Eddie Izzard with the circus.
Yeah. Benefit of Mr. Kite, was it?
Yep.
I think.
Yeah, that was the song. Yep. And that was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, it's real life.
I actually absolutely love all the way that looks. I love, the remake of Wizard of Oz, like the whole beginning and the whole, they nailed it. There's something about that whole vibe, man, that I really do dig visually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, and I mean, I just tapped into it somehow before even realizing, you know, and there seems to be some kind of thing, like a stream of consciousness that a lot of people tap into with that particular vibe, you know.
Yeah.
It's nothing new. I mean, it's like, you know, it's an archetype. The ringmaster, or the, you know, yeah, you know, lion tamer, whatever.
Yeah.
You really want them.
Now, does everybody in the band have a hand in writing the songs?
Not really. I mean, that's why, you know, that's a really, it's something to actually kind of, you know, tightrope walk. I mean, early days of this band, you know, I just happen to have that gift, if you will. Like, music just comes, songs come, words come. I have such a, you know, strong sense of that within myself that, like, I don't necessarily need much input. I try to, like, work it so, you know, like I say, in the early days of the band, there was a little bit of, like, you know, it's like, because I don't have the money to pay guys or whatever like that, so it's like, you know, and you want to keep them interested and, like, keep everybody, you know, have their say, and you try to do that, but it's going kind of a tightrope thing to walk sometimes. Now it's just like, somehow it all just works perfectly right now. The guy, because this band in particular, the new guys, we just work so well together, and, like, I don't really need to, you know, play this, play that anymore. They just, what they bring, they bring, and they make it really well. Sometimes I really hear things that you do this and you do that, you know, a little more energy here, a little bit more there, but I can keep it kind of general, you know, and it just works out now. And I play a lot, you know, I put my own parts in and all that stuff. So, but yeah, you know, so, I mean, but I also say that on that new album, there is a couple pieces that came from guys in the band. Like, they show me a guitar thing that they did, and I was like, oh my God, I hear this, boom. And that's one of the first times that's happened. So,
yeah,
you know, it'll evolve, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, like, you're just kind of letting everybody add their own little flavor to it whenever they record.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. I get general, like, grooves, like, you know, I mean, there'll be a general, like, groove that I, like, you know, say, I mean, feel this, you know, bump, chaka, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then, but the drummer's so amazingly good that, I mean, you know, I would never even tell him, you know, just, you know, it just automatically is there. Same with the keyboard player, same with my bass player, same with, you know, my guitar player. I mean, it just, you know.
Yeah.
But I definitely.
Connect.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's awesome. That's like an ultimate connection there, you know.
Yeah.
And huge trust too. Like, to be a musician and have someone not tell you what to do, but say, this is what I'm going for, this is what I want to sound like, and they're just like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's
yeah,
intense.
trust on both ways. Yeah, the trust both ways. But,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, like, songs are kind of like your babies, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's like it's like you expose yourself, and it's like you know, it's almost like your intimate self is like you're putting it out there, and so, you know, and it's like you're exposing yourself a little. It can be a little bit like, you know, so you give that first, the first people you give that to are the guys, you know, and, like, I hope they dig it, you know, I mean, I hope they're behind it or whatever, you know what I mean? So there's all these little things you got to get over and, like, develop a thick skin and all that stuff, because, I mean, you really are offering, like, you know, a pretty deep part of yourself.
Yeah.
So
It's a deeply personal experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And once that first part of the ball gets rolling, you gain a little steam. So then you're not, you know, then you get that a little bit more power behind it, and then, you know, I mean, just being a musician, you gotta. I've been humiliated so many times, and not even funny, you know what I mean? Going on stage and you're, like, singing out there, and, like, you know, like, you just put it out there, and sometimes you just, like, oh my God, you know, it's just like, you gotta.
It's all trial and error. You're either gonna bomb or you're gonna do great.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna find that happy medium, but you can't go on being mediocre, and you sure are not mediocre.
Yeah. Some people will love it, some people will hate it. You know, you're gonna get hate, you're gonna get love. You know, it's what it is.
Yep. Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and take a quick break?
All right.
When we come back, we'll talk about some supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
the Phantom of Terror. When he appears, don't scream. It's already too late. From the people who brought you Nightmare, now comes the Phantom of Terror, formerly Bird with the Crystal Plumage. No one knows where he comes from, but his calling card is always grisly. No one escapes the Phantom alive. The Phantom of Terror.
Now showing at the Embassy Theater and a theater near you.
Mr. Big Stuff.
Introducing Oreo Big Stuff.
Who do you think you are? Oreo Big Stuff. Oreo Big Stuff. Who do you think you are?
New Oreo Big Stuff. More chocolate, more cream.
You're big and satisfying, taking you with me all the time. Oreo Big Stuff. Looks like you're gonna go far. Oreo Big Stuff. Oreo Big Stuff. Who do you think you are? The Big Stuff.
All right, and we're back. So Tommy, you brought up the supernatural and the paranormal. What, where do we start here? There's a lot of ways we can go here. We've got haunted locations, TV shows, movies, all kinds of stuff.
I mean, it's sort of inferred that it had some effect or influence on your music too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll just say, I mean, as a kid growing up, I always was fascinated with things like that. I mean, aliens and UFOs were one of the top things when I was younger, and and then there's all the ghost stories and all that stuff, and strange phenomena and all that you catch here and there, and like, I mean, we had the show In Search Of, and that kind of stuff just really interested me.
Yeah.
Early on, I think it interests everybody. I mean, So, and then for me personally, like beyond that, I started exploring certain spiritual practices that opened up the doors of perception, really, where you can see past the veil of this reality, past the third dimensional reality, and then that kind of opens up a whole other thing where you suddenly realize a bigger understanding of the true nature of reality, and we're not like here in this this third dimensional thing. For a trip that we're on is not the full picture at all.
Yeah. And
it's really all happening in the invisible realm, and that includes you and me, includes situations that what's happening. And so and then when people touch that, when they catch a glimpse of that, whether it's this or that, whether it's a ghost story or any kind of supernatural thing, it's like it kind of lights people up, because I don't know, I think on a deeper level, people are really longing to understand or to touch that part of themselves that is really the truth. But in the third dimensional reality, people don't really know. They go about their business, they go to our jobs, we do all this stuff, and we think that's it, and it's kind of mundane. But there's a deeper part of ourselves, our soul, or part of ourselves that really is longing to like that true essence of existence. So that I think that's why it's always and then it's it's tantalizing to like touch that briefly so
yeah. But it's sort of been the way of people forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you go back to classical antiquity, they had mysteries where they got to, you don't even know what they did. That's why they were called mysteries, right? Yeah. They get together and they would do these big rituals, and they would commune with the guy they thought was the chariot and the sun, and another guy they thought ruled the underworld and the ocean, and that went across. There was no way to transmit that, and people were coming up with it completely separated across the world. They had their own systems of belief and their own way of attaching meaning to existence and all that. So it's just how far that's evolved in the human experience, right? Because now we know better. We know that the sun's not a guy in the chariot. We know that there aren't Gandalfs in the sky controlling everything, but there's still something. We got here somehow.
Yeah.
And we're pretty incredible creatures too, so it's not just simple. There's gotta be more to it.
I think, well, that's a very important point that you just made. We are not simple creatures. We actually are, like, from my understanding, it's like humans like hold, like, our DNA holds the actual, literally, secrets of the universe, and from what I've been gathering and everything, and what, like, that's a lot of other beings actually kind of, want that in a way, if you want to, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's such a large conversation, quite honestly, but we are not simple at all. We're multidimensional. That's the going back to the music. That's really what it is for the music and what I write. I don't even know that I write about it. I don't even claim that I write, quite honestly. I claim that it comes through, and and I write it down. But the biggest thrust of my particular lyrical content is like the human going through life, but the soul that's traversing that same life in the super interdimensional realms, or the supernatural realms, the visible, invisible, other side of the veil, because we are multidimensional. You're not just you're not just the flesh and blood and the bones. You're a being that's actually, you've got a higher, I'm not trying to tell anybody what to believe, okay? So, don't take that out. But my understanding through what I've learned over the years is that, we have there's a higher part of ourselves, and it's going through this same life in the invisible realm. And, it's all like, that's kind of why we're here. Earth is a school. We're learning, we're evolving, we're here to learn. So all that's happening in the invisible realm, as well as like this third dimension. So, yeah.
No, that's really awesome.
Well, if we circle back to what we were talking about, time travel, a lot of what you're saying it's not just charlatans or whack jobs on YouTube saying these things. You're getting quantum physicists and mathematicians and the smartest people on this planet saying, given the law of averages, there are other intelligent beings out there. Given just how we came here, there's XYZ going on that we just don't know. We've not been exposed to it yet. Or they're coming up with how time travel is, or how time is not linear, right? Like linear in a sense that it goes from the beginning to the end, but it's more like a spider web. And it's all I won't say verifiable, but it's being validated by science, right? Where you're not just some guy saying things and trying to convert people to something. There's a million papers on alternate realities or different dimensions, and they're not just weirdos writing it. They're doctors, they're scientists, they're mathematicians, and they're renowned. They're not ostracized in their communities. These are people that are doing groundbreaking work in it. So it doesn't sound unrealistic or crazy at all.
Yeah,
you just buy in and believe whatever. Well, then what's the point, right?
And time. They say time is an illusion, really, and in reality, like in the higher realms, there is no time. Or it's certainly, you can be a time traveler. And another thing, I kind of use that term time traveler as far as, as far as my particular, where I use it sometimes in my, like a lyrical, there's on the album, there's a lyric about deeper and deeper as you travel through time. Literally, I'm using that in that way as a literal figurative thing. We're actually time travelers here, just walking on Earth, because we're actually stuck in time, because we have time. We have to deal with time. We have to, live our lives according to time. The establishment of that, linear time, but outside of that, we're forever, and it's, so there's a couple different there's a play on words there, is what I'm trying to say, but yeah, like, I would kind of refer to us as astronauts as well, because we're in this flesh, spacesuit on Earth for a particular time, and we have a life to live out through a certain, through a linear end-to-end time, but beyond that, we go on forever. That's my personal understanding. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything again, but because you got to be careful. You got to be careful with that. As far as this, people have to, they have their, everybody's free to, have their belief, and how they do it. I've just done a lot of work in this area, so I have my understanding. That's all. Yeah. So I can only offer, and that's
Yeah. No, you're good.
Well, that's all I'm taking it as. I've been on the rock for 40 years, and I'm no closer to understanding myself than I was the day I got here.
Yeah.
Well, you got those years. You have those years, man. Just those years, dude. That gives you some, just dealing with it, dealing with life does give you wisdom. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's bad.
Yep.
But wisdom is wisdom, and every day is a learning experience.
Everything has a learning experience.
I'm learning new stuff here.
Yeah, too, man. We're all evolving. Students of life and all that. But there is so much more to the picture, though, than just what we see, taste, touch, hear, feel. Feeling is another thing, but the five senses. You know what I mean? They used to call that, spiritual schools will call the five senses the five thieves, because they rob you of what the true nature of yourself. And that's why yogis will go into a cave and meditate for 20 years, and they'll come to another understanding of what really is true and real. You know what I mean? They transcend, that was the whole thing, and a lot of people strive for that.
There's something to be said for sensory deprivation, for sure, because then you start filtering out all the superficial shit, and you're getting in touch with yourself or with something, right? It all depends on the experience.
Well, they say quieting the mind. That's the biggest goal for meditation. And when you quiet the mind, that's when you can start. You start going something. You start hearing the deeper. The deeper silence of the universe. That's when when other things come and you experience higher realms of consciousness, man. It's outrageous.
Yeah.
Like stuff you couldn't even imagine. Man. You can't even imagine the visuals or the colors of the stuff. It's meticulous,
Kind of like a good trip.
Yep.
Well, like that.
And if you get the right stuff, man, you can have a life-changing experience.
I've done some yoga too, or some yoga, and some. We're getting into the realm of where people are going to start rolling their eyes and shit. But Reiki and transcendental meditation. It's not. I don't like that it's looked at that way, because you're just trying to find yourself. You're not trying to sell nothing. You're not trying to write books and get people on. You're just trying to find yourself.
Yeah. A lot of people demonize it with something. It's like, what's that? It's like, don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, well, it's a built-in. It's not by mistake, man. Yeah. It's not by mistake that there is a built-in programming that wants to keep people in their little bubble of the third dimensional. They don't want. Okay, we're getting on a whole other subject here, but they do not want people to be conscious and aware of what they truly are, the power that they hold. So there's an overall consciousness that's going to keep a lot of people in a certain place, and that's why. So the minute you mention something like that, there's going to be that collective programming that's already in place and been in place for a very long time. So they're going to knock it, they're going to make fun of it, whatever it is. I don't personally, that doesn't come across my table very much, because I've been exploring it for so many years, and I'm, people that I know and everything like that. I could have a conversation with people, that would probably make other people go like, "You're whack, man." You're just like, but yeah. And I gotta admit, it started with my use with psychedelics and things like that. So those things open up a consciousness, and then it goes from there. There are traps with all of that, but there's ways of opening up yourself to understandings of things.
Yeah. Yep.
Some people just need a little kick, but not everybody does. And like, it all depends how you come about it and like why you go about it. Like, are you trying to do something better for your mental health? Like, it could definitely. I've seen benefits from meditation and all that, and yoga, especially yoga. I've seen people that have been hunched over for 10 years standing up straight and running because of yoga.
Oh yeah, that's it's good for the physical too, of course. You know,
I really need to start doing that myself.
It's a good tie-in for both your emotional and your physical health. Like, I think as far as emotional and even mental health, yoga is often downplayed on that side of it because it's more physical. But when you're doing it, when you're getting right into it, and you're not worried about the poses or the breathing or what someone in this class is gonna think of me. If you're just doing it by yourself, it's an entirely different experience. It's not aerobics. It's not a rec game of volleyball. It's a deeply personal experience. And I imagine it's the same with psychedelics too. I've never done that before, so I don't know.
It depends on your environment.
Yes, definitely so. And and you touched on something very important. It's really all about intention too. Like what is your intention with doing anything really? But yeah, especially like you mentioned it earlier, James. Like what your purpose is, what you're trying to do. That's intention. So intention is like key. You know what I mean? What you intend to do, and if you do that with the fullness of yourself, then that's a whole other ball of wax than if you're like, well, I think I'll kind of do it, or I'm gonna try, or it's like no much. This is all like mechanics. This is like all metaphysical mechanics. Like, and then they say the power of the mind, and all that kind of stuff. So it's all connected. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I don't want to sound like Joe Rogan, but I'm going to sound like Joe Rogan. I've never done DMT, but I've heard that if you're in the right environment and like you go into it with the right headspace, kind of like mushrooms or LSD, like you go in with the right headspace, you're going to be fine, but it's going to be very vivid and it's going to be very intense.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on a 25-year journey with that, actually, quite honestly. Not. I don't know what his version is, but there is a tea that the shaman use, which has DMT. It's called ayahuasca. Yeah, you've heard it, I'm sure. So yeah, that's pretty much been a long journey with me, but a religious use of it, not just like sitting down and tripping or whatever. It's not a party for one thing. You don't want to just go and you're not going to be it. You just can't, like, I mean, I've heard of people like getting a hold of like the tea and like thinking they're going to have a dinner party, and this is a true story, okay? And they thought they were going to have a dinner party, and then they put it in like wine glasses, and then after dinner was over, they were going to drink it and like have this, experience, and they're all on the floor throwing up the whole time in hell. And the reason is because it opens up your consciousness to the astral realm. And there's no joking around there.
No.
It's absolute serious spiritual
Put your body through
work.
It.
Well, yeah, it's beyond the body though. I mean, these realms are real. The realms are real, and the beings that are there, angels, demons, all of it is happening. And they don't fool around. There's no BS, man. It's not a game at all. So I mean, I've heard of, I've had friends that went to things where guys thought, they were all of a sudden a shaman because they drank it like twice, and so now they're facilitating ceremonies, and they go there and like people have it, and then it's not a safe container, so then people come away with like psychic breaks and all kinds of hardcore stuff. I know people that have actually smoked DMT. And their whole lives turned to hell, just literally after that. They went through a whole health crisis. It opened up the doors to all kinds of stuff. So, I wouldn't suggest it unless you're very serious, and I'd also make sure you know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You want to have an adequate guide for sure.
Yeah.
Just like going into the jungle, you're not going to do that without adequate preparation.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. The exact analogy, man. The exact analogy. And I mean, there are people too. I mean, I have you know, the community that I have, and I know is, like I say, it's literally like, it's an established kind of like a religious use. So it's not just like some guy. There's different ceremonies and different type of way people use it, but it's a protected thing because the space is set in a sacred way. So you're protected, and you should be protected, because if not, then you're open to all of it. And it's not a joke, man. There's lots of very powerful forces out there that like want to take over or don't wish you well. Yeah. You know, you got to navigate this stuff. You know what I mean? But if you are protected, there's a hierarchy, man. There's a hierarchy, a spiritual hierarchy. And again, I'm not trying to tell people what to believe, but there's a reality and a hierarchy in the spiritual realm. You know, that is what it is, and that's kind of, you know, it's already there. So you have to have protection. You know, so yeah. But I will also say that the light and the healing we receive is undescribable. Words would never give you a proper description of it, because there's no way.
It's something you need to experience for yourself in order to fully understand.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And but it definitely opens the doors, you know. And I you know, the kind of work that I do with our community and stuff, you know, this is why I kind of understand, you know, or this is why I say what I say, as far as like, you know, I mean, like, you know, there are lots of beings, you know, there are people that die, you know, that unexpectedly. There are those that are, you know, like ghosts. Like ghosts are like, they're confused. They don't know that they've passed over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're haunting the same places they did in life, but they don't know that they've died. They don't know that they're on the other side, and they're just like, so, or some of them do maybe, but they're stuck. But like some of them don't. And these kind of things we've experienced in like ceremonies where these kind of entities come to be healed, to be shown the way, because you can open up a portal and then you can go to the higher place, or the next place, whatever that is in the journey. So
the next realm.
And I'm sure that when people do hear this, they're going to probably think that, yeah, this guy's off his rocker. But but
if they've watched us to this point, they already know we're all off our rocker.
I drank a bottle of syrup on a dare. I think they already have that assumption.
Yep, all three of us did. And
yep.
I ate some waffles the other day and somehow survived.
I think when you know what you're talking about with the subject, like, you know what I mean, people are more open to listen. You know, they don't. We've changed in the way that we look at people, you know, that have theories, especially spiritually. We've kind of opened up as a species to listening to that, you know.
And we're not killing anybody anymore when they don't follow the line, right? Like, you know, burning them at a stake or ostracizing them. Well, I mean, some people are. There's still Scientologists in that, but for the most part, regular people that are just on the journey to self, they're willing to listen, because you're not getting there by yourself. There's not a person on the planet that can get there by themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, we are in the middle of a pretty big awakening right now. So, you know, there's some big stuff happening on the planet. You know, and I you know, you could say that we chose to be here, incarnate on this during this time. You know, if you, I mean, I also, you know, think that, you know, we come back, and again, like, reincarnation is a reality, and like, we've chosen to be here in other times, and we're here now, and you know, but what we are is just, like I say, it goes back to what I was saying before, like, beyond this flesh and blood bone suit, you know what I mean? So so, but it's a pretty amazing time right now, and it's gonna get, a lot of people are, you know, the real shit's gonna come to the forefront soon, I do believe. So we'll just see. We're here for the ride, man. You know?
Yeah.
Well, when the government waits for a pandemic to say, yeah, you're right, UFOs are real.
Right.
Why today? Right? Why over this last 18 months rather than the last 4? At any time over the last 60 years, they could have said the same thing. But right now is the time for it. And why is that? Well, because it's gonna be harder to hide it, I suppose.
Well, there is talk of a staged alien invasion coming soon, so we don't know. We'll see what happens. But
I dig it.
It's all good. There's so much going on, man. Not that they don't exist, because they're very real, true. I personally.
I 100% believe it.
Yeah, there is no way we could be like the universe
not
is
alone.
infinite.
There's no
There's
fucking way.
no way we could be alone. There could be another planet just like this out there.
All that vastness, and
Yeah.
we're the only one. Fuck you.
Yeah, it's
We are
infinite,
not.
you know, like there's no end. There's
I
gotta
mean, they
be-
were here before we were. Yeah, they were here before. They're still here. They've been here the whole time.
yeah,
You know, and they've got it. They've got them all. Like, they know every single species. They know how many are here, how many species are on the planet. You know, I mean, from what I have seen, and you know, I mean, you know, it's you know, they're working with us too. You
yeah,
know? Good and bad. They're good and bad. I mean,
yeah.
Just like,
I think
So-
everybody in their life, you know, whether they've had a further experience or not, has at least seen something in the sky they can't explain.
Some
Yeah.
kind of cosmic experience that.
Yeah.
What? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's not a helicopter. That's not a star. What is that?
yeah. And then
Maybe not that to that extent, but you know, something.
something always catches your eye up there that shouldn't
Yeah.
be there. Out of all the times you've looked up there, there's constantly something catching your eye.
Even something as simple as a shooting star.
Yeah,
Shooting stars are awesome.
absolutely.
Man. I love them.
yeah, they
Oh,
are.
yeah, brilliant.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of that stuff is man-made too. I mean, they're farther along than, you know, the general public is. They're like, you know, they've got like 50 years of technology ahead of what we know of. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
secret, you know, black operations, things like that. So they have ships that are, you know, anti-gravity already. It's just that, you know, so some of that is man-made, some of it's not. You know, I mean, and who could, you know, I wouldn't know, but I don't know. There's a lot going on, man. We're not in Kansas anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah.
If you just consider how far we've come in 300 years, it's impossible that we haven't developed something farther ahead than what we've seen,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
humans have exponentially advanced through every epoch, and it's not going to stop just because they told me it did. Like,
Yeah.
of course, it's still happening.
Yeah.
Saying how far
Well,
the human race has come in such a short span of time.
Yeah.
Just like you said, just like the last 300 years, the technology is just.
Well, and then you can cut it in half because none of us were around for 300
No.
years ago. In the last 50 years, the
Yeah.
internet, like that's a game changer as far as human beings go.
This is a prime
Yeah.
example.
Case in point.
yeah, absolutely.
I don't think it's far-fetched to think that at all. And I also don't think that shitting on the idea that there's more is productive either, because if you break down these thoughts into common scientific knowledge, they're laws. Energy can't be created or destroyed. Well, then something happens when you go, right? You're not just a meat sack in the ground until you decompose. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Your energy has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that brings up reincarnation.
Yeah.
Just like that. There he is. He came back.
He's
Yeah, well, yeah.
reincarnating.
I'm a firm believer in that.
I'm-
I gotta plug
Oh,
in my
no,
phone
you're-
real quick.
Man.
I'm getting a low battery. It'll take me 2 seconds. Hold on.
Yep, this happened with Rachel last week. So her phone died because she.
Well, Zoom's a battery chugger.
Yeah.
Oh well, she plugged her phone into the wrong outlet.
Oh, that'll do it.
It was a Christmas light cable, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got 3 outlets in here that I can't plug into because they're just outlet, like they're just boxes.
They're just
Yeah.
there. Yep. I've had several of those. They're like the cable hookups in my bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just for show.
They're there, but they don't work.
All right, cool. I'm good now.
Right on.
Now, you were saying that you experienced some stuff as far as other world, like extraterrestrial.
I don't know that. I mean, not firsthand with that particular, but in the ceremonies, I mean, we definitely, you know, I've, you know, witnessed entities come into people, demonic and all that. I mean, demons straight up, they come in and they do what they do. And then, our particular line of spiritual work is to actually liberate them. So they actually come into somebody and we actually give them the tea to drink, and then boom, they go straight up, man. They go, but I mean, like they come and they just like, they express themselves, whatever that is. There's, people, a lot of beings are suffering, man. They just have so much sorrow and they're crying. So there's anger, there's the obsessor spirits and like, addictive, the spirits of addiction and all of these darknesses, man, that are on people all the time.
The unfinished business scenario.
Sorry, say it again?
The being feels like it has unfinished business on this realm. That's why they're still here.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're where they are. The spirit, the ceremonies. It's like if you do a ceremony in a certain kind of intention to actually do service to service. It's like lighting a candle in the darkness, and it's like one candle can be seen for thousands of miles in the astral. So like these beings that are stuck where they are, they come and flock to the flame. You know what I mean? To they know what's up. They know what's up. That's the thing. Yeah. So this is what I try to express to people, because there's a fascination, right? Fascination with the occult. There's a fascination with and it's really interesting because my music, the aesthetic that I have, it draws a lot of people that are into gothic people, and they're into dark stuff, a lot of they're just into this, they want to do witchcraft or Satanism and stuff like that. And I've had conversations with people where they're like, oh, should I do this? Just to, I'm going to use a Ouija board just to have fun and try to haunt my house or something like that, or whatever. And like, man, you really don't want to do that. They think it might be kind of fun. They maybe think it might be kind of cool. It might be exciting and all that. But you got to understand, these beings, that have full knowledge of what's going on. They're way more clever than you are. They have a way bigger knowledge of what's going on. So they can manipulate you very easily.
For sure. As far as that,
and a lot of them are. Go ahead. Sorry.
Like you mentioned the Ouija board. I've a couple of times I've messed around with one, and I always tell people don't mess with stuff you don't know, because it just takes the smallest opening for something to go wrong. And the Ouija board, like I said, only a couple of times, but I had, and they're hit or miss experiences. You don't always have anything happen. So, not some stuff happened, but I don't know. It was me and my sister, and I think they were, I don't know. I think they were just fucking with me because I'm younger. So, but, I've always been told don't mess with those. And make sure you know what you're doing.
Yeah, well, it opens doors. It just opens doors, and it can't really be closed unless you rip afterwards if you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Some powerful practitioners there, to help after. If you open a door, man, and you bring something in or whatever, it can be really bad.
And that brings to another supernatural, it's like the movie The Exorcist. Not necessarily saying that could happen, but it could, for sure.
It does happen, man. It does happen all the time.
Possession, maybe it's not in the biblical sense, but, it could be. It all depends on your experience with it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I from my understanding, especially with that shamanic work, demons are absolutely 100% real, and they do possess people. And there's micro possessions and there's bigger possessions. You know what I mean? Have you ever gotten caught in a place in yourself that you're so effing mad that you can barely stand it. You're just like, you know, you're saying stuff you don't normally say. You're ready to frickin', you know, hit somebody or hit something or whatever like that. I mean, that's like a micro possession, you know. It's not, it's beyond you. It's not, it's like these guys feed on this stuff, you know what I mean? Like they feed on us. They feed on emotions. And it's, you know, it's not all like this massive thing where you're spitting a green pea soup or whatever it is. But yeah, and I've been in very many ceremonies where we call that kind of thing because these you know, demonic energies will come, and but we deal with it a different way. It's not like exercise you from that. It's like, because you know, they're not necessarily that different from us. They didn't start out different from us, but then they became what they became. But you know, we say come to the light. You know, come to the light. Be free again for once. You know, after all this time. You know.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves to be at peace when they're not not in this realm anymore.
Yeah.
And to be able to move on, go to the next stage of the next act, if you will.
Yeah. If someone is being driven to suicide, man, you know, it's usually by something else. You know, they're like, kill yourself. You know, I mean, this is the type of stuff, you know, that it's like wickedness, you know what I mean? So it's like, and this stuff does exist. And again, like sometimes it starts out as fashion. You know, like somebody will start getting into a certain type of music, and then they find some identity with it, and then they're all of a sudden you know, it's a fashion form, and then they get deeper and deeper, and slowly they just more things they start, you know, they just start down a certain road, and you know, it can happen. And I don't judge anybody like that. It's not that. It's just, it's like, where's your destination? It comes down to intention, like you said. You know, like where are you going and what's going to happen? You know, we're all here to, you know, be at peace, like you say, man. You know.
Yeah.
And the problem is, not everybody believes that.
Well, yeah. You know, that's again that five senses thing, right? Like, you know, we're lulled into like being asleep.
Yep.
A lot of people are asleep, you know.
Yeah, people get brainwashed into believing one certain set of ways. Like, just think for yourself, and it opens up so many more possibilities. Like, I wasn't expecting to have this conversation. I am enthralled.
I mean, you know,
we normally don't delve into this stuff on this show, and I'm loving that.
Cool. I'm glad I could offer something. You know what I mean? I wasn't sure if, you know.
Yeah, man.
But I was actually going to tell you. It's like, okay, listen, man. I mean, I'm not really hip on like gaming, right? You know, I don't play a lot of video games, and you know, I mean, I don't know how hip I am on some of the most, you know, up to date trends or you know, pop this or whatever. But like, you know, hey, we can have a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like when we created this show, the idea was whatever you geek out on.
Yeah.
Whatever you're passionate about. I mean, it doesn't even have to be something you're geeky about. Everybody likes to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we're all geeks on something. You know, all geeks on something, one thing or another.
Oh yeah.
That's just isn't that just a way of just like you say, just being passionate about something. You know, you get into it, like you get into all of it, man, completely. You know.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful thing that is, man. That's the gift of life, man. That's the gift that we're given. To like everybody's got their own interests. It's like just like a jungle has all these different species of plants and animals. I mean, we all get to be diverse and in our own uniqueness. You know what I mean? And that's the gift. And that's the gift.
Yep.
You know?
Free will.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and having something to look forward to, having something to look at, having something to love. And I mean, some of the things that we're into can't exactly love you back, but they enrich your experience.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Totally.
But yeah, because like it's our horror season, so this is the perfect conversation for this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Craig is our resident horror nut and expert.
Oh, cool.
So I'm sure he's enjoying this.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I mean, I absolutely love it, dude. I could sit and like get into paranormal stuff all day long, and like all that. I love it when it's really real. I mean, I really like to see stuff like, especially captured on video.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I've seen my share of just stuff that I'm just like, oh my god, man, that's insane, dude. You know, and I love that stuff. I haven't really experienced too much myself, other than like the stuff inside of Sacred Circle where it's like, and it's real. I mean, that is real as it gets. But as far as like actually, you know, like some of that stuff that's captured on video, man, I dig it. You know?
I've only seen. I've never like been like attacked or anything like that. And I was really young, so, and they say kids are hypersensitive.
Yeah.
At some certain age, whether you grow out of it or you don't. Like it's one of those things. But apparently, I don't feel I ever grew out of it because I still believe in the supernatural. I still like to go on, you know, expeditions.
Yeah.
Whether you want to call them ghost hunts. I hate ghost hunting. I hate that term. But like whether you want to call it that or like an adventure or whatever. But I like doing that kind of stuff. And I've always been fascinated by the supernatural. But like Craig and I don't live that far from Gettysburg. And I've seen stuff there, like in the distance, but never like what you would call maybe a first-hand encounter.
Yeah. Well, like you were saying, it's like you know, it's just out of memory. They don't even know they're gone.
Right.
That place is huge for that.
Yeah.
It's one of America's most haunted cities.
I mean, you can imagine, like, I mean, there is confusion on that side too. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't know that they've passed over, they're still living in that loop. You know what I mean? And so, and with that kind of like trauma, I mean, you know,
yeah, just residual, like,
they're just going through the motions day by day.
Yeah, an energetic, also, residual energetic, like, just because of the. That's for sure a real thing too.
And that's one of the instances where the human loss of life in a short period of time was, you know, historical. There are not a pile of times in human history where we've managed to eliminate ourselves that many people that quickly. So you can just imagine the chaos with souls. You know, for those 4 days where it was something like 85,000 people or more. I don't remember the exact number, but you can see how a soul would get lost on the way, or many.
Yeah.
I think when reality gets that intense, man, it's like, you know, a lot of stuff. I have a really incredible story. I have a friend who's do you know what a Sikh is? A Sikh is like, they're a certain order of spiritual order where, you know, they wear the turbans and they have to me they're like kind of like the mechanics. Yeah, they're like the mechanics of like consciousness. They have all this knowledge of like how it works, you know, on the other side. But anyway, so I have this one guy, a friend of mine, a really good friend, who used to tell me all kinds of crazy stories, you know, like just crazy stories.
Yeah.
So since we're on the subject of like Gettysburg or whatever, he said that there's this battle, and it was about that same time frame as like Gettysburg, you know, an older battle with muskets and that kind of thing. And so there's like a captain or something, and they're in the middle of this fierce battle, and his head gets cut off, but he's behind enemy lines, and the enemy line is only literally like about 500 yards from where he was. His head was cut off, and he refused to die on the wrong side of the line. So he literally picked his head up and ran himself across to the other side and then left. They said that's a true story. And it was documented, you know, like it was documented, fully documented, true story of the battle. I swear to God.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just like, I don't know, that kind of stuff is like, okay, the reality gets blurred, man.
Yeah.
It sounds far-fetched, but you never know, I guess.
Well,
he said it's fully documented, man. Like it was like written about by several, like many people that witnessed the event.
Yeah.
So,
well, and during the World Wars specifically, there were tons of accounts of spirit sightings and demon sightings, and I mean they were probably calling it UFO at the time because they had no point of comparison, but the people on both sides. So it's not like the allies were just sitting there, okay, when we go home, we're going to tell everybody we saw some shit. No, it was everybody involved saw that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it.
100%.
I mean, I've heard of, like, you know, like, I mean, I think I've seen a video of like some kind of a dragon-like thing flying above when the 9/11 thing happened or so. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, they feed, you know, the bigger ones feed off more blood, more angst, more whatever. I mean, I you know, who knows, man. But yeah, I bet when that's happening, man, I'm sure it gets really intense.
Oh, it has to. That kind of stuff, man, that kind of trauma, that kind of destruction, it doesn't bring any kind of good vibes. Like,
Nah.
Not gonna leave it.
Not necessarily true either, because you hear those stories of people that somehow found it in themselves to do this or do that and save 75 people at the same time.
Yeah.
Or an Audie Murphy, or, you know, guys that just went and kept doing it. I mean, in Forrest Gump, that's not a true story, but there's a ton of accounts of that where someone gets shot 3-4 times and still have the wherewithal to pull everybody with them out.
Yeah.
I think there is some good that comes out of it. And when you say that if you open it just a little bit, it's going to rush through. Well, it can't all be bad. It's going to be everything rushing through.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. And you know, there's the people that find superhuman strength in like really like extraordinary moments, like a guy who lifts a car off to somebody, or, you know, these like incredible feats. You know, I just think that the lines blur there. The reality blurs, and, like, you know, a lot of the stuff we don't think is possible is actually possible. You know, I mean, you know, there are Native American chiefs that say if you really apply yourself, you can levitate or fly or whatever. You know, you can make it rain. You know, all this stuff. You know.
Yeah. Especially like in those conversations, you know, and in those moments, those people are always saying, like, I don't know what came over me. You know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I just more proof that it's really, there's so much more to it than what we can comprehend.
Yeah.
You know?
It really is.
There's a lot out there that you can't explain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the spectrum of light that we see is compared to what the full-on spectrum is just like a little tiny slice.
Yeah.
The same thing with like our consciousness, or what we hear, what we see, whatever, you know what I mean? It's like this.
And this gets into fortune telling territory, although I don't mean it that way, but speaking about it that way, it's a throwback to the oracles of way back, and the accuracy that they were predicting stuff. It was phenomenal. It wasn't just heady language and vague shit that they'd say and it would pass off as plausible. They were making battle predictions and crop predictions and government political predictions that were in the realm of 95% accurate, especially like Delphi or any of the ones that Alexander stopped at. It was eerie how close they were. So there has to be something to it, or certainly more than what we're giving it credit for.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I have personal experience too. I mean, we call them mediums, you know, people that are mediums or people that have mediumship, you know, I mean, I don't know that you believe this, but this is absolutely 100% true in my personal experience. Okay, so if you want to hear another story, this is true though.
Absolutely.
So the first bass player in my band, he passed away about 1.5 years ago or something in his sleep. Really wild. He wasn't in the band anymore. You know, my music attracts a lot of people, like different types of people. Like I'm a full spectrum, man, from Satanists to Christians to, you know, metaphysical to, you know, just normal people, whatever. And so I have one person that, you know, I started communicating with pretty regularly, who we started really realizing like there's a lot of spiritual, esoteric knowledge and stuff that we were sharing. And she had actually physically died for like a certain amount of time. You know, like it wasn't near death, it was actual death, but she came back. And when she came back with gifts. She had like this, she was a medium. She could, you know, she had another connection to to the other side.
Yeah.
So anyway, and she started telling me stuff, you know, like there's no way she could have known. She was like telling me about, you know, hard things about my family and about my own personal like experiences and things like that. And I'm like, wow, you know, so I was already like, wow, this is legit. And so anyway, a while back, she's like, hey, you know, Chris keeps coming to me. That was the name of my bass player. I'm like, what? Yeah, he keeps coming to me. He's like, he wants to talk to his mom. I'm like, what? I'm like, I didn't quite, you know, it took me a while to grasp what was going on here. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, and I know his mom, I'm connected to his mom as well on Facebook too. So I was like, well, do you want me to like, you know, try to, you know, set up some kind of a communication here? And she said, I guess so. You know, she wasn't like pushy or anything like that. She was just like, she's just want, you know, should I serve in this way or whatever? And he wouldn't leave her alone, basically. And so she gave me a list. Like she started telling me all these things about him, and that I didn't believe because I did not. You know, she like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6, 7. Like she had these little things that he told her, and that Spirit had told her about him that I couldn't imagine because of who he was and you know whatever. I was like, there's no way that's true. There's no way that's true. He was like, even like specific little jokes that he played or what he would play or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, you know what? That's what I'll do. I'll contact his mom, and I'll give her this list of things, and like that'll be like the test. Like if this is true, you know, and if you feel called, then so be it. So that's what I did. I messaged her, and I said, listen, I don't know what your beliefs are. I don't know, you know what, and I don't want to like offend you in any way, but there's this person that I know, and she's saying that Chris has been contacting her and wants to talk to you, and this is some of the information she told me, and you know, you can take it for what it is and you know, go from there. And sure enough, man, every single thing that she said was true. So she said, yeah, I'll meet with him. And so she facilitated like a total full-on conversation, several times. And it was like very healing and very, you know, very completion and like communicating, because you know all this stuff like he's a daughter and things like this. Yeah. So I'm like, wow, man, you know. So, and that's true, dude. That's my own experience just with that. So, and that's, I don't know what to say, man, you know?
Yeah,
it brings up the closure. People need that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very healing and emotional and closure for her and everything like that. And she also, my friend, the medium, was able to serve, and you know, just it really does show that there's so much more. But you know, so I fully believe in the capability of mediumship and mediums. You know what I mean? There's always the human filter, so you know, some people can get it wrong or they're not quite 100%. And I think we all possess that. You have intuition. We all have intuition. We have a certain percentage. Some people's more developed than others, but you know, you can feel it, man. You go with your gut. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like when you're in that situation, like you just, should I do this?
Right.
Yeah.
Or say, well, I'm getting a weird vibe about that guy, man. Whatever. Or it feels weird, or something's off.
Exactly.
You know, whatever. You know.
Or like if you're in the grocery store and it's like, I can just feel something's gonna go down. You know. One of the next thing you know, there's the fight in aisle 3.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
But why don't we go ahead and take another quick break, and then when we come back, we'll go ahead and wrap her up.
Cool. Right on.
All right. Sounds good, man.
You're right.
More pecani sauce.
Let's use mine. Well, that isn't paste pecani sauce.
What's the difference? Paste is made from fresh vegetables and spices.
By folks in San Antonio who know what pecani sauce should taste like.
Well, this stuff's made in New York City. New York City! Stranger, I hope you can beat a full house.
Pick up the original. Pick up the pace.
Pretty funny movie, huh?
What are you, a nut? This is scary.
Scary? This isn't scary. If you want horror, you gotta go with the classics. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman.
Ooh.
Spooky, huh?
Oh, they're cool. I could send one to my mother.
You'd mail these? These are special edition. You're really starting to freak me out.
Special edition stamps now at the post office. Some stamps you just can't lick.
All right. can't remember where we left off because we've had a decent conversation off the air. But what do you got coming up with Tommy SpaSe and the Alchemist, my man? You got any shows coming up at all?
I mean, the live thing is so precarious right in this moment that I don't see anything live happening anytime super soon. It just depends on what unfolds, events on the national stage, international stage, whatever. I mean, what I don't know, but I just actually was able to, a couple of the guys that are in the band, they don't even, like one guy just went, ended up moving to Michigan, and my other drummer lives between Hawaii and LA and different things, and so they're not always in town all the time. So, but miraculously, I had everybody in town for a day, and we went into the studio and recorded a song. So I'm kind of working on just a single tune that I kind of a timely thing. Most of my stuff has nothing to, is like out of time and timeless. This one's a little more just a little more, just a sign of the times kind of thing. And then my next big thing is, man, I'm gonna at least finish that pilot thing that we were talking about earlier to kind of hopefully get that underway, man. I'd like to pitch that to some people, and if I could get a company behind it or some money behind it, then it's gonna be really kind of cool.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I mean, I've got like several albums lined up, ready to go whenever the time comes. But I'm gonna let this one, cook for a while and get it out there as much as I can. And it's always great when people like you, come across it, and it opens up a whole little thing, man. So yeah, just working it, every day.
Sure.
Yeah.
We know a lot of people that have all different kinds of musical tastes too, and I know when we share this out with them, we'll send the link with it whenever we post it and everything too. But
yeah, I can, I offer that for free. The album's for free, and like a 7-day experience where somebody signs up and they get the first 2 songs like within an hour, and then every day for the next 7 days they get each song, and there's a whole bunch of extra content, extra you can download it, you can stream it, there's extra like video content, there's all kinds of like behind the scenes kind of stuff, and stories behind the songs or whatever, like a lot of extra stuff. So I can send you that link if you want to include that, or even if you just give me my website, it'll be on the front page, and they can sign up for that for free and get the album for free, and then with a whole lot of extra goodies and stuff. So
yeah, and it's a great album too. Like, I know you guys have listened to it, and I also listened to your backlog a little bit. Like,
oh, cool.
And the 2 singles you had, the one single's on the album, but it's great stuff, man. Like, all around. The song "Hello," like,
oh, cool.
No wonder it's called "Hello," because it just grabs you and you're like, "Hey, this is what we're all about."
Oh, yeah, that was off the previous album. Yeah,
and
that's
it's
cool,
a lot
man.
of fun. A lot of fun.
Awesome.
It was the perfect way to start my drive this morning.
Oh, good. That's interesting. You have you kind of have a inkling for because that's kind of a similar tune to Carousel Cabaret, and it's really got that gypsy vibe to it, or there's a certain the music. Some of the music comes from like a folk, gypsy folk kind of indigenous vibe actually. So it's interesting that you gravitate towards those, because those are
like a lot of people like look at me like I'm nuts because I shouldn't gravitate towards that, but I love that kind of stuff. Or it's just that it's the theatrical experience without having to see anything.
Yeah.
Like you can just, if you have I don't have that good of an imagination, in my own opinion, but I can visualize everything that's going on as I'm hearing these songs, and I'm just like, I love them. This is great.
Cool.
So, because not all music does that for me.
Yeah.
And
there's not just any track that gets me to shut Hamilton off. And
I did it. I win. Congratulations, sir. You've taken the crown.
Hey man, I'm glad that you dug it, man.
It is fun. It's a different experience, and any time that like we talked about earlier, anytime that it doesn't fit in the box is where it's up my alley. Because I'm all over the board, just like these two. I'll listen to anything as long as it doesn't sound like something else.
Yeah.
I think that speaks to like that whole thing we were talking about earlier, where the push button, where you can just access anything, and then like I think that, you know, kids that are growing up with that access, man, they could be into, they could just be in all ends of the spectrum, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty wild.
Yep, for sure.
Yep. I've sent I sent your Spotify link off to a few friends of mine, and they've been like, okay. I'm like, you got to hit this guy up. He's a cool dude. I was like, he has this thing on his Facebook. You got to check it out. Go get the album. It's good.
Yeah.
And I've heard nothing but good responses. So
cool, man. I appreciate that.
And
I appreciate it. It's no easy task to, like, you know, be an independent musician, man, and like, get it out.
No, it's not.
Not at all. I've been there. I know how it is.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Especially when it comes to touring.
Yeah.
I've toured one time, and it was just around the state of Pennsylvania, and I came home flat broke.
Yeah. Yep. So it costs a lot of money.
That's what happens when you play for gas money.
Exactly.
But those were the best shows. It was so much fun. But you're good. Those are like small town punk bands I'm talking about. You're doing something much grander than that, and I cannot wait to see a live show.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff we'd love to do. You know, we haven't been able to do quite yet, just theatrically. You know, but you know, like in LA, where you play local here, man, you got like 15 minutes between bands, you know, to set up. So it's not like you can do all this stuff, you know, but we're working on it, man. You know, I got a lot of good ideas, you know, once it gets up and running in a proper level.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. And I know we'll all be keeping tabs on that because I'm looking forward to it. I have to see that live show. That's just something.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to come up with.
I'm looking forward to playing live, man. It's been a while, and it's a lot of fun. That's when it really comes alive. I mean, it really does come alive there. You know?
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Especially with your music and like just that cabaret style.
Yeah.
I can imagine the show that you put on. It's just going to be amazing. I can already tell.
Definitely looking forward to it.
And I can't remember where I was going there. Short-term memory. You guys have anything you guys want to add?
Not at all. That adequately had my mind blown today.
Yeah.
Oh man, I appreciate it, guys. I mean, like, you know, I really appreciate the conversation, and you know, I hope I wasn't over the top in any way.
No, absolutely not.
maybe in that it's just filled my head with thoughts that I could, you know, got to sort through now. But other than that, no.
Cool. Yeah, man. You know, same here. I appreciate just rapping and you know, sharing this time, brothers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you coming on. Especially,
thank you for your time. It was phenomenal.
Yeah. On short notice, like I said, like I just came across you and was like, we got to get this guy on the show.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, it's my second podcast now. I did one like a couple of weeks ago with another guy from England.
Nice.
So it's the second one for me. So I appreciate it. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Anytime you want to come back, or I'll hit you up. You can hit me up. Doesn't matter, man.
I definitely want to share that show thing, the show pilot.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, we'll promote the hell out of that.
Oh yeah.
It's, you know, like I say, it's pretty much going to just be to pitch, but like, because it's you know, it's the quality, you know, whatever. But yeah, I just want to, you know, I'm glad you have such an interest in that. I'd love to get some feedback or whatever. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Steampunk Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly.
I am perfect.
None of the Cockney accents.
Yeah, no. I can understand this one.
Yeah.
But Tommy, we appreciate you coming on, dude. We don't want to take up too much more of your time.
All right, well, I appreciate the opportunity, man. Thanks for the good conversation. And
Yeah, that was amazing.
Thank you, man. And folks, that's Tommy SpaSe and the Alchemist. That's SpaSe. You can find him on Facebook and on Spotify. Find him on Facebook. Get that album.
Yeah.
It'll blow your mind.
Yeah. We go to TommySpace.com, and on the front page there'll be a link for you to sign up for the album experience and get it for free.
Cool.
Can't go wrong with that.
What's better than free music?
Not a thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sam just said something. Nothing. Go get that free album.
Yeah.
All right.
If you like any music, pretty much you're gonna like this. The Beatles. Like Panic at the Disco. You like Queen? I said Queen. That's a big. You got some Freddie Mercury happening there.
Yeah. I've heard that before too. That's a big compliment.
Yeah, that is a big compliment. Like, I'm like, and I love Queen too. That's another one of my favorites. But yeah, man, I cannot wait to see what you got coming. Like that show. That's gonna be.
Working on it, man. Working on it. I want it to happen too, man. Big time. I want it to happen too.
We'll be keeping an eye on that for sure. And
yeah.
Like I said, we'll promote the hell out of it.
Cool.
But
Thank
Tommy,
you.
thanks again for joining us. Matt, Craig, as always, my brothers, it's a great time here. And peace.